伝説のドラゴンと共に戦いの旅へ。パンツァードラグーン RPG R0 セガサターン。
Hello everyone, welcome to Sega Saturn SHIRO. I'm here with our hosts, Dave.
Hey.
And Mr. K.
Ho.
So what have you guys been up to since we've been gone? Because I know we've been gone for quite a little bit.
No kidding. K. It's like asking me, what have you been doing for the last month? So the last podcast we recorded was with the Titancast guys, and that was a lot of fun. I've had a chance to listen to that a couple times because, you know, been thinking about what we're going to do for this next one. And, you know, we've been having a lot of, Simon's been issuing a lot of racing game challenges over on the Junkyard. So I can tell you I've been playing a lot of racing games. And also just doing a lot of work coming back from Christmas break and working on the archive and trying to get official Sega Saturn magazines uploaded so people can enjoy that and use it as a reference, and working on the website archive. And
why don't we talk more about that archive? What exactly is the archive for the people that don't know?
Sure. So the Alexa crawls started back in 1996, just crawling the internet and archiving website data. And it's all
keep in mind, we're not talking about like Amazon Echo's Alexa here.
No. Yeah, we're talking about a project, like a university project, and then it provides data to, in this case, archive.org. It's a nonprofit that started up with the Wayback Machine. All of those Alexa crawls were basically donated to their backup archive. And so dating back from 1996, there are archived versions or copies of old websites. And a lot of you might even be aware of these. You might have gone and played back with the Wayback Machine and kind of looked at some of the old websites. But the problem is many of them are broken. I mean, you know, these were kind of like raw data backups, and a lot of the links don't really direct to the right place. A lot of the applications or the collateral that was included in some of these websites was missing. So basically, this project of mine has kind of been popping around from different dates and trying to gather all of the materials into one cohesive screenshot or capture of that time period.
So it's like you're actually logging onto the website in 1996 again.
So we started as a part of Sega Saturn SHIRO. We're trying to do a lot of stuff here. We're trying to expand beyond just a podcast. We all have a lot of creative ideas and endeavors, and we want to provide the community with as much content as we possibly can, you know, and we want to, I know preservation is incredibly important, and it is to me too, to preserve the history of this console, so that people can look back on it later, even if they're completely new to the console. So the idea is to preserve, at least I'm starting with the 1996 Sega Online. And I'm preserving all the web comics. I'm preserving all of the forum posts. Some of the people who are on the Facebook groups today might even be those people who were posting with their Juno account back then, or, you know, their AOL account in those forums. And so I'm capturing all of that and bringing it together, fixing all the links, making it work. And then we're going to post it up on our new GitHub page, our Sega Saturn SHIRO GitHub page. And it's been a long process, but there's some cool little things. I mean, all of the original Sega PC demos for like Virtua Fighter 2 and Daytona USA and Last Bronx, all of those demos are like Windows 95 compatible. You can run them in compatibility mode on Windows 10 and they work. They will install, they will play with
it's going to be a mess, but
yeah, it's going to be a mess, but it works. I mean, and there's Shockwave games. They were all done in Adobe Director, which is pretty much kind of obsolete by now, and most web browsers won't even open it. It'll just try to save it to your desktop, which gets you nowhere. So I was able to find an old copy of the Shock Machine and include that in this so that you can actually play those old web browser games. Like there's a Nights into Dreams one, and there's a Worldwide Soccer.
We saw the like some imagery you put up in one of the groups. That was pretty sick.
It is. It reminds me a lot of like the hidden feature in the Billy Hatcher GBA game, It's kind of like a 2D side-scrolling Knights game. It gets a lot faster too. I was actually playing it for a while after that video, and the difficulty and the speed, the game actually starts going a lot faster, so it gets a little bit more fluid. But there's
the days where I couldn't afford the actual games, so I'd stick with like the Flash games. I remember I used to play this 2D Half-Life game when my computer couldn't run Half-Life 2, so I would just play that and be like, "Hey, I'm playing Half-Life 2."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and they, Sega used these things as, ways to promote the game, get people excited. There's a whole Knights, as a part of that 96 archive, there's a whole Knights page with the story done in like GIF animation, and there's some really cool stuff in there. It's not going to be more than a novelty for some people. They're just going to go in there and visit and spend a few minutes and just be like, oh, that's cool. But, the thing is, it's history and it's important. Mm-hmm. And so if you were to go on the Wayback Machine right now and you were to look at those, you can do it. You can kind of do what I'm doing. I mean, if I can access it, so can you. But the point is, I'm trying to kind of gather it all together and curate it into something cohesive. And then once we put it up on our GitHub, it's going to be there for hopefully, who knows what's going to happen with the Wayback Archive as they continue to collect more and more data,
Yeah, until
we're gonna cause we're gonna end up causing like a time paradox where the 1996 version is fixed and working in 2018, and then the Wayback Machine goes ahead and archives it.
Funny.
Whoa! Okay, you just blew my mind.
All right, so now let's move into the world of K. What have you been up to, Mr. K?
You put me on the spot. Some of the stuff that I've been up to, I'm not quite ready to announce yet, and that's taken up a lot of my time that hasn't been with my family. So, not a whole heck of a lot this cast, but hopefully by the next cast we'll have some pretty interesting announcements and other such things. How about you?
You've been playing a lot of Neo Geo stuff lately.
Like, literally, I've been addicted. It's just so easy. Cool. Because it's like I can pop it on for 5 minutes and then go to bed. I don't have to like save or some shit.
No joke. If Neo Geo wasn't as expensive as it is, I'd probably be even the CDZ. Some of those games are really expensive. Like the ones that I want, at least.
Hey man, the MVS stuff. All the games I have, I haven't paid. I paid less than 50 for each one.
Yeah, but still, that's not... I mean, okay. Yeah, granted, that's cheap compared to what you're going to pay for AES stuff, but still $50. Saying, oh, I paid less than $50. I mean, when a lot of Saturn
that's the majority of it.
Japanese Saturn games you can buy for like 5 or 10,
I guess, but I mean, a lot of Saturn... The thing with the Neo Geo stuff is that all the common things, like all the King of Fighters are like under... all the main ones are under like $30. It's only 02 and 03 that are pretty pricey.
So I've got about 20. I've got about 20 discs with spine cards and everything like that, the full thing, and then I've got a CD wallet just full of Neo Geo CD games. Like,
dude, you need to get MVS.
Yeah, but as long as I've got my Neo Turf Masters, I'm good.
I'm like Neo Turd Masters. Am I right?
No, you're not right.
Yes.
That game rocks. That game is awesome.
I love Turd Masters.
Yeah, I wanted to do the console route, So I got a CDZ and I'm happy. It works great. Like the load times are no different than the load times on a CDZ are no different than load times on a Saturn or a PlayStation. The only thing is you think you're getting gypped because it's like a 2D game and you think that it should load faster, Whereas like if it's a 3D game, in that 90s mentality, you're like, oh, well, it's loading a lot of assets, so this is normal, But I timed it. Like the Neo Geo CDZ takes half a second longer to boot a level of Metal Slug than the Saturn version. So,
but I think don't you have to like load the level like halfway through Metal Slug though?
No,
I could have sworn that was the case.
That's Metal Slug 2.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that is the case for Metal Slug 2, but not for number 1.
Yeah,
you don't have to be sorry. You're just wrong.
I know. Yeah,
sit there, your wrongness, and be wrong.
Yeah, but anyways, Dave, with the Neo Geo stuff, if you want, it's pretty cheap. There's all you need to do is get this little cheap super gun thing, get a Neo Geo board, and it'll probably run you less than 150 to get it consoleized.
But here's the thing. I'd have to give up collecting for Saturn. I can't do both at the same time. That's the thing. I could decide right now today that I'm done with Saturn and I'm gonna go back to Dreamcast. And if I do that, that's fine. But then I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm really bad at, and it's my personality. I'm really bad at trying to collect for several different consoles at the same time. That's just not how my mind works. Like I compartmentalize and I like focus on one console.
Well, you can get a MVS and get the Neo SD and just call it a day.
You're not kidding. That's probably what I would do. But then again, the thing that would stop me is that I've got all those games on the CDZ, and I've literally got all the games on my Wii, and they run perfectly, like on Virtual Arcade.
I guess so. And I mean, if you really want to get to MVS, you'd probably hawk your CDZ and the games and be able to consolize and get like at least 10 games for the MVS.
But then there's the whole storage
exclusive on Neo Geo CD anyway.
There's a couple. There's some exclusives on Neo Geo CD.
What's
but then there's
that's worth playing. That sounded ruder than it was.
No, that's not rude. It's fair. I mean the RPG Samurai Showdown, not that great. So, and I don't
Is it actually in English though?
It's not, but there's like a translation FAQ or something like that. That's beside the point. I think the argument for the MVS is stronger, obviously, because you've got Blazing Star, which is awesome.
And they never released like the rest of the King of Fighters, like game after 2000.
Well, like 2000, yeah. I'm a big fan of 2003. 2003
and 2002 is legit. I really want to get 02. I had a deal, but the guy never got back to me.
I've heard they're all good. If you go on forums, you'll always find somebody who's like diehard about 1 year, you know, even if it's a year that nobody else cares about.
I gotcha. So I've been up to a few things since we last recorded. I got a extra on Crosspoint now for my component stuff. So now because I have the JVC monitor, it only has one RGB input. Mm-hmm. So what I was doing is switching back and forth, but now that I have the Crosspoint, I can put in my Neo Geo, my G-SCART switch into there, and also hook up my PS2 and Wii, so I can easily switch them without having to mess about with the wires and stuff. So
is that like a rack-mounted unit?
It's rack-mounted, but it's PVM mounted, as in I put it on top of my PVM right now.
Gotcha.
So it's nice. I put like these little labels on it so I can tell which system is which. I'll probably post a picture of it if you guys want to see it, and we'll put it in the chat. It's kind of cool looking. I had an extra SCART to BNC breakout, so I hooked that up for the Neo Geo because I heard some issues were going on with the G-SCART and the G-SCART and Super Guns. So I didn't want to take a risk on mine. Mm-hmm. Mine should be fine. I have the Super Gun Mach, but I didn't want to risk it and mess that one up because that's like a $200 SCART switcher. So
where'd you get the Extron from?
I got it on eBay. It was like $35 after shipping and stuff.
Cool.
It was a good deal. So I'd rather kill the $35 Extron than the $200 G-SCART.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be fine. I have the sound router through my receiver, so it'll kill that. I'll go pick up a new one from Goodwill. Not a big deal. But I've also gotten some more Neo Geo stuff in. I got Street Hoop and Aero Fighters 2.
How do you like those?
I like them a lot. I love Street Hoop. I played over my friends, and I just can't get enough of it. I love I'm not a fan of sports games, but Street Hoop just has some charm to it. I just can't get past. And I always play as Phoenix because I'm Arizonian. So
do you go to your friend who has another MVS, or do you bring your whole setup?
Oh, my friend has two MVS arcade machines downstairs.
Cool.
So he had them. We played that a bit, but it was a lot of fun. I loved it, so I decided to get it. And I also have been playing Puzzle Bobble, and I suck at that, but it's still pretty fun.
Yeah.
Puzzle Bobble or Bust a Move if you're in America.
At every pizza restaurant arcade in America. I feel like that game. Legit. Yeah, that game. I remember just hearing the music from that game. Whenever I go to like a pizza restaurant.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Every time I play the game, I'm always hungry for pizza. Maybe that's the case.
Maybe
get some pizza next time I play it.
Anything else going on?
I'm gonna be getting a Rhea soon for the Sega Saturn. So once I got that up and running, hopefully I'll be able to play more games and have less CDs taken away.
Seriously.
Don't worry, Dave. You'll get one eventually.
I'll get there. At least right now, I don't need it. I mean, I have all the games I can play them, but yeah, having them at your fingertips. And there are a couple times, like recently, I was playing VR virtual racing and trying to get better times, and I was just thinking, man, if I had this on array, it would probably like reboot and load faster. Isn't that the case with Rhea? It will boot just a little bit faster.
I believe so, and a lot of that, the reason for that is that it doesn't have any of the wear from any of the laser that's always been persistent.
Sure.
Like, I don't know how a new unit would work if it'd be just as fast. You'd have to get some benchmarks going on that, but I think it's just the age of the laser that causes that. But I think with the SD card, it does speed it up a tad bit, and probably a significant amount from a used laser as well. All right, guys. So now that we did our introductions, let's get straight into the news. All right. So our first item is the Retrobit controllers and the accessories. So if you guys didn't know, Retrobit is actually coming out with official, in quotation marks, Saturn and Dreamcast and Genesis accessories. But because we're a Saturn podcast, we don't give a crap about Genesis or the Dreamcast. So let's talk Saturn. What do you guys think? What are your concerns about the controllers? What are your thoughts?
I think they're awesome. I mean, it looks to me like they got a hold of the molds because they look like an exact copy other than the branding. What do you think, Kay?
I'm kind of excited for these. I think the one major disappointment is that they didn't go forward with a 3D controller, or at least those replacement cables, because if you get a break in those cables, it's pretty much toast. But the wireless controller, the Bluetooth one that they're doing, looks spot on for the IR controller. The fact that they're cross-platform for either USB or on Saturn is really hats off to them for that. I guess I would say I'm optimistically apprehensive.
I'm about the same way. I mean, I've seen a lot of third-party controllers and they all really sucked. But I have a couple friends that use the pads that they had for Super Nintendo and stuff, and they said it's pretty good. They love the feel of it. And one of the cool things that nobody really talked about that I thought was interesting is that since it's a Bluetooth thing and the Dreamcast also has a Bluetooth dongle for it, would you be able to play the Saturn controllers on the Dreamcast or vice versa?
Yeah, I think you would.
You know how cool it would be instead of the 3D controllers, why don't they use the Dreamcast ones? You know how interesting that would be, using an actual Dreamcast controller on a Saturn?
Well, they'd be short 2 buttons.
Right. That's the only... Well, I mean, they have the... Oh, yeah, the triggers are on... Never mind.
Yeah, triggers for LNR.
I keep forgetting, but you do bring up a good point.
Maybe it's just the start, and my only real reservation with Retrobit is that I've purchased their S-Video cables, and I think also their composite cables, and I don't know how it got through quality. The cables themselves were fine, but the left and right audio were reversed, and I don't know how they didn't notice that left and right audios were reversed, but anyone who was using the S-Video cables from about at least 2 years ago, you should swap your red and your white just to...
apparently, I was looking online about that, and apparently it was in somebody actually made a schematic of it, and I guess they ended up switching the wires around reverse. So everyone that used that schematic put the cables in the reverse order for left to right instead of right to left. So I think that's one of the big contributors of why all those cables are that way.
Yeah.
But you'd think like there'd be just some quality control that would just open up a package before they put it out and test to see, like, does left and right actually belong left and right?
Well, the thing is, they probably did something for it, but they just tested the sound outputs on the left and right channels. They didn't really think to put it under a left to right center audio test, which I usually do with all my receiver, and that's what you guys should do. If you do get any setup, always do a left to right center test on your speakers and sound system, because I can't tell you how many times I accidentally reversed the speakers and had to rewire the things.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like, discovering that was we used them at PRGE with my MegaView. I actually brought my MegaView to PRGE 2014-15. Maybe it was 16. I don't remember which one now. And I actually have a PA system, like a 16-channel PA, and we were plugging in Street Fighter into this thing on the Saturn, and you could very clearly hear, like if you're doing a Hadouken from the left, it was outputting from the right, and I'm just like, what the F?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So even just like if you don't have a left, right, center, testing option, popping in the one of the audio cables in and using a game like Street Fighter that really utilizes stereo sound on a home console is a pretty quick test as to whether or not things are working.
Or just burn like a CD that has a left, right, center audio channel test.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always good to keep around the house anyways for receivers or anything else you set up, if you're an audio nerd like me. But yeah, so I guess like my baseline is I'm hope that they do this right, and then the product look good. I'm waiting for more information. There was quite a few. There were a couple of Saturn controller wireless options out of the homebrew community, and I would like to have seen more of that kind of engineering come into play. The one that me and my buddy Dave Hickman is going to be doing uses RF as the transmission, and you can make a dongle for pretty much any system, and you can use any wireless controller across any of those systems. So we were playing like on a Super Nintendo with a Saturn controller, or using an N64 on a Dreamcast, like N64 controller. And they're all wireless, but the receivers were kind of bulky.
It makes sense, though, why they would use Bluetooth, because I think the majority of people who are going to buy this are going to be wanting to use it either with a computer or a phone or an emulator. I think it's actually a niche number of people, or niche, if you will, that want to buy that extra receiver and use it on their actual Saturn hardware.
I think it actually comes with the wireless controllers as well.
The wireless controllers you buy separately. So you buy the Bluetooth controller, and you can use it on anything that accepts Bluetooth. And then if you get the receiver for the Saturn that has the Saturn hook, the Saturn plug on it, then you can that's for the people who specifically want to use it on the real hardware. But I mean, that's why they're doing the USB thing and the Bluetooth thing, because they're trying to make Saturn quality pads that are accessible to all different platforms. And so if they had done RF, it's like Kay said, they literally would have to have a different receiver for every different platform out there. But by going Bluetooth, it's kind of a universal thing. Or by going USB, you can use it on your PS3 or your PS4 or what have you.
Yeah,
but you can't use it on your Super Nintendo.
No, you can't use it on your Super Nintendo. But I mean, are there not Bluetooth dongles? Are there not like Bluetooth receivers for Super Nintendo yet?
Yeah, they have the 8-bit DO that has those receivers.
I bet somebody's gonna make that.
Oh yeah, I guarantee you it's gonna be working soon, which would be pretty cool. What I didn't mention before is that it's gonna come with the Japanese style controllers and not the American ones that were like the fat, bulky, uncomfortable ones.
The
in
boomerang?
my opinion. boomerang ones that sucked, and the shoulder buttons never worked. And it's going to come in the classic black looking Saturn that the US got. The white Saturn. I think it's also going to come with the gray and some weird hybrid where it's black on the white Saturn buttons that have the pink green colors to it.
Mm-hmm.
Was that ever an official controller of that style where it's black on those white Saturn buttons?
I don't think so. Brazil had like a white controller with all pink buttons or like rouge buttons instead of like the colored buttons, but that's the only variant that I know of that was like weird like that. This is like a new thing they're doing.
Yeah, but so it's gonna be definitely interesting, and we're gonna be doing a review of it as soon as that comes out. So we're gonna review the wireless controllers and the wired controllers, and we'll tell you how they feel compared to the actual Japanese style controllers that were released.
One thing we should probably mention, Retrobit actually has already had on the market for some time a Saturn style controller in USB. So it might be also worthwhile for us to pick up one of those before they're no longer a thing, and then do a comparison with the ones that are officially branded.
Definitely, we can definitely do that.
Is that like the one that Nuno has, like the Play Sega, or?
No, that's
that something different?
I have one of those also. That's a different controller. Like those were actually Sega made, if I remember right. These are Retrobit ones, and they feel a little bit chinky to me.
Gotcha.
I gotcha. So hopefully that's not going to be the case with the official ones, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right. So any last thoughts on the Retrobit stuff?
Just that, man, I really wish that they would get a light gun solution going for, some guy online figured out how to use a Wii remote to make light guns work on an LCD.
Well, they actually have the Dreamcast ones that actually do work on an LCD.
Are they using that same motion tracking technology?
And unfortunately, it's like hundreds of dollars.
Well, there's a so I don't think that anybody. I think just like PlayStation had to do Move, to create that motion tracking and then connect and everything. I think if anybody wanted to, you couldn't just go to market with like a Wii remote strapped onto, or even a dissected Wii remote, because Nintendo would sue your ass. They own the patent on that motion tracking technology. So
the thing is that all it is made to order controllers that have the Wiimote stuffed in it with a Raspberry Pi.
Okay, so but it's like very unofficial then. So it's not. I don't think that Retrobit could bring something like Retrobit couldn't bring something like that to the market because Nintendo would sue them. But
I mean, they could technically do something like that. I mean, there's nothing to stop them from using the controller, like buying one and using it. And not to mention that all the guys that did the analog NT did something similar to that with the first revision of that, where they took the official Nintendo chips and put it in a new shell using new boards.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It might be possible. I hope they do. I really do hope they do, because I mean, we've already seen a proof of concept. Now it's just up to somebody like Retrobit, who has a production line and can actually make something like that happen. Because I would love to be playing light gun games in the modern era, on a larger screen.
But you did bring up a good point, though. It'd be hard to mass produce something like a all-in-one solution that wasn't like a hack job where it's like a Wii and a Raspberry Pi stuffed in a gun.
I know.
So, I mean, it just remains to be seen.
Yep.
right, guys. So one of the biggest announcements that we'd like to talk about is the 20th anniversary of Panzer Dragoon Saga. Yep, that's right. 20 years. Can you believe it? 20 years. 1998. How the time flies. What do you guys think? What are your experiences with, Panzer? Maybe you can talk a little bit more about that.
I got it super cheap at Toys R Us, and they were practically giving it away. We're talking like 18, 19 bucks on like a clearance rack, and I remember that there were several of them, and I wish, back then I didn't think I needed 10 copies of this game, but now would have put my kid through college, or at least a semester of college.
It would have got you some good Neo games.
Yeah.
But what about UK? Have you had any experience with the game, playing it at all?
So this is one of those horribly embarrassing revelations about me, and that is that since owning the game came about, I have not had enough time to actually sit down and play through it. Most of my interaction with Panzer Dragoon Saga up to this point has been getting it to work on Pseudo Saturn, helping troubleshoot that, or even just testing out the different ways of booting it up. And as of late, it's been checking out the 16:9 widescreen packs that are available for this game. So I am embarrassed to say that the furthest I got is not very far, and that save game has been lost.
Hey, that's a lot better than my progress. I haven't even played the game yet.
Oh, not at all?
I think you guys would enjoy it. It's a really good
no. Yeah, as soon as I get that Rhea Man, I'm going to play that game, and I will do that live for everybody. I swear, Val, right here, I will beat Panzer Dragoon Saga by the end of this year. Guaranteed.
Nice. Are you guys familiar with the battle system in Panzer Dragoon Saga?
No, not at all.
It's a really unique RPG battle system where you're in the air and you're circling around these enemies, and you're just trying to continuously jockey for a good position to get a shot off, but you don't want to put yourself in the line of fire. And it's just one. That's why I know that it had a limited print run, and so it's a huge franchise. And so people love it for that, but it's also a really, really good game, which is another reason why the value is off the charts. But the battle system it really is sublime. And I wish that another game would come along and use that same battle system. I actually think that if a Mad Max game, or no, I'm sorry,
Mad Max.
No, not Mad. Well, maybe it was Mad Max. What was the one with Charlize Theron in the desert, and there's all the people on those weird sand cars and so was that Mad Max?
That sounds like Mad Max to me.
Okay, if there was like a Mad Max game where you're like driving through the desert and you've got like these cars coming along the side of you, and you have to kind of like slow down and get behind them and then fire on them and then like go around to the right and stuff like that. I was thinking it would be awesome if some other game would come along and use the mechanic that Panzer Dragoon Saga used, because like it doesn't seem like there's any other game out there that's really like it. But I think that it would make for another great RPG. But it was an awesome game. You guys are going to love it.
Yeah, and on top of that, they actually, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Panzer Dragoon Saga, they brought back the original composer Saori Kobayashi and one of the vocalists that worked on the game to actually work on this gigantic soundtrack release.
It was kind of like her vision.
Yeah, it's what what the article said, it was originally what she envisioned for the soundtrack, which is like Brian Wilson-esque revelations going on here. But one of the coolest things is not only is it going to come out on CD, but it's also going to come on a beautiful purple vinyl record that you can put on a record player and listen to. So you guys that collect vinyl, VGM vinyl, I know I do. It's going to be really cool to get, and it's really affordable too. It's two vinyl records for about $35.
Yeah.
And as of the date the podcast drops, which should be sometime in the week, it should be for sale and you can actually buy it.
Yeah, so worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you guys gonna get that? Do you guys collect vinyl at all, or?
I do. Yeah, I'm probably. I haven't pre-ordered it, but I think it'll be available enough, and I'm probably going to snag a copy.
But I'm looking at it right now, and I am so close to just pushing the button.
Yeah, man. If you got the cash, I would definitely do it. I don't. They didn't say any pressing numbers, but Fangamer is really good at keeping stuff in stock, like that Undertale special edition. That I think that's still in the store if you want to buy it too. So I think if you really want to get one, I wouldn't wait on it, but I don't think you have to rush to get one. Hopefully.
And if you're a Panzer Dragoon fan, then you have to get it.
Yeah, if you love Panzer Dragoon, it'd be a great companion to the first one, and it's making me wish that they release Zwei as well on vinyl, because I know they have the first one from I forgot what the name of the companies that does it, but they released the first one on vinyl. So if you guys can get that, I would definitely get those ones. Oh, Data Disc, the first one from Data Disc.
Now it's worth noting that while the pre-order is still going on, a lot of the media surrounding this mentioned that the disc would be, or the game, excuse me, I'm sorry, the soundtracks would be available on the 29th to mark the anniversary. Looks like the pre-orders are not shipping till about mid-April. So I don't know what's going on with that, if that's been delayed or not. But yeah, I mean, this is a beautiful 2 LP set, and it is the vision that Satori really wanted to do from the get-go. So if you're a fan of the series, I would say please go ahead and grab it. The CD version is like $15, the LP version is $35. And I think, Dave, do we have something for the fans of that particular franchise?
Yeah, Dave, what's the big announcement?
So by the time you're listening to this podcast, it will have already happened, but we are, as a group, as a collective, as a team, we've decided to get into a little bit of live stream radio for you guys, and maybe for special events like this one, to do some live radio streaming of the Panzer Dragoon soundtracks. We'll be including the original Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei, Panzer Dragoon Saga, Ozzel, Panzer Dragoon RPG, the Memorial album. We got Orta in there, a little bit of everything. And so I think it's going to be fun. We're going to do that. We're going to kick that off at, let's see, I think it's going to be 7 a.m. UK GMT. And then it'll run pretty much all the way through Pacific Standard Time. So everybody has a chance to enjoy it. And I believe it will be saved to the SHIRO page, so you'll be able to go back and listen to it at work or whatever, subsequently. But don't forget to go out and support, support these guys and buy the vinyl or the CD as well. We're just
hope all of you buy it. All of you go out and buy not only the one that's good, the new one being released, but also the first Panzer Dragoon on vinyl.
But yeah, in the new year here, we've been talking a lot about, what this podcast has been. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been kind of eye-opening to, each one of us has had something to contribute and ideas that we've put on the table. And now that we're in the new year and we've got, like 8 or 9 episodes under our belt, we're starting to want to branch out and try new things. And so live stream radio is one of those things, and website archiving is one of those things. And I know Kay has his sights set on archiving the disc images and doing a great job of that and making sure that they're true to the original, which means he's had a headache trying to source discs without data holes, and so, but it's all part of the passion for this console and the history and just the preservation. So there's a lot of amazing, cool things on the horizon. Do we have any other special announcements as far as news goes?
Yeah, we could probably announce that we've actually brought on some more staff to our team.
That's right. The three of us, we can't just do all of this ourselves, and it would be nice to have some help. And luckily, there are some really passionate Saturn fans out there. A couple of them who we've noticed have, got what it takes to come on and help us out as writing correspondents. So we've got Claire Sawyer, a member of quite a few of the Saturn groups on Facebook, and she's also an avid Panzer Dragoon fan. So I know she's already pre-ordered that album, and she'll be coming on and helping us with some articles and retrospectives and reviews, probably in blog post form, and she may join us on a cast or two from time to time. And then we've also got Peter Malek, who is also a huge Sega Saturn fan. He's got a massive collection, very impressive. Also super nice guy, lives in Canada. I've been friends with him on a couple of the Saturn groups, and I know that he holds like the all-time high record for like Nights into Dreams. I believe that's true. He broke 1 million.
That's right, guys. We gotta get him. We gotta get him on Twin Galaxies.
Seriously. But a super nice guy, and also great writer, and some really, really insightful things to say about the Saturn. So I'm really excited to see what he has to add to our team, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad to see that we're growing and that we're going to be doing new stuff. What about you, Kay?
I first saw Claire through Panzer Dragoon Legacy, but I did not know it was her. She's been, like you mentioned, a huge part of that Panzer Dragoon community, and I think she wanted into the Trade Cell Collect group about a year ago or so. Not 100% on that. But anyone in the Saturn Facebook groups, you might have seen her do a carved pumpkin, like a jack-o'-lantern, with the Panzer Dragoon logo, I believe, on it. If you saw that, that was her work. And I'm really excited to have both her and Peter joining our group. I don't know Peter all that well, but his reputation precedes him. And there may be some more announcements related to our growth. This what we've done so far, ending with the megacast, is what we kind of consider season 1 of this podcast, and we've got a lot more to discuss, a lot more coming in the future, and I feel like it's going to be a really interesting trip for you Saturn fans out there, and yeah, I mean, I can't wait. Radio SHIRO being one of them, the archive being one of them. Lots of stuff coming, and
yeah, that's not even like the tip of the iceberg, guys.
Yeah,
yeah, we got a lot of big announcements ready for you guys. It's going to be insane. Your minds are going to be blown by all we're going to show you and all you're going to hear.
Don't overhype it, man. We all have
it's not overhyping. It's telling it like it is. I'm telling it like it is right now. It's going to be intense. You guys will be amazed. There's going to be a lot of output, a lot of content. Hopefully you all enjoy it. I hope you do. I know I will. So, I mean, as long as it makes me happy, I'm happy. So,
all right. So I think this is kind of a mini cast just to get everyone caught up on Saturn important news, and let you know that we're still here. We've got a lot of things in cooking right now. And hopefully we'll be able to share a lot more of that by the next cast. But in the meantime, we want to thank all of you guys for supporting us and what we're doing, and giving us comments and constructive criticism, so that we can make the best possible show for everyone. And Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everyone! I hope you have a great rest of the New Year, and we will see you next time.
Yep.
You must play Sega Saturn.
You must play Sega Saturn.
Or don't. That's cool too.